and welcome to the Backlot 605 podcast. I am one of your hosts. I am Casey Kelderman. Joined with me, as always, is my dream demon, Brian Mensing.
I'm the dream demon. I want to be a dream warrior.
You are a dream demon, Brian. You haunt me in my dreams.
That's so nice. That's so romantic.
It is, isn't it?
I love it.
Brian, how the hell are you today?
I'm doing good. I'm trying to keep myself cool in these nice, wonderful hot days that we've been having.
Absolutely. We're gonna keep it cool and chill here as we're talking another movie in our Pride movie series, and maybe the most obscure one we're going to talk about, at least until we'll jump into The Matrix in 2 weeks. That'll be fun to talk about during this month. But we are talking about A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Yes. Freddy's Revenge. He's coming back. He's coming back to get you here in the sequel to the Wes Craven classic. And since we are talking about a horror movie, a classic horror movie, if that's one that has received a new appraisal in the last, 5 years, maybe even less than that. It's basically gone a complete overhaul. And to do so, we are joined by the host of the Development Hell podcast, Josh Korngut. Josh, welcome to the show.
Oh my God, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be talking about this crazy movie.
We were talking about a little bit before we started, and this movie is insane. I cannot wait to talk about this movie because
me too.
I am a total Fred head, and this is the only the second Freddy movie we've talked about on at least the main show here, Brian. Mm-hmm. We did Freddy versus Jason a few months ago, and now we're doing this one here. We're just going in a weird order. Eventually, we'll cover them all, even though Brian probably is shaking his head. Please don't, but we will.
It'll probably be better than if we did that with Friday the 13th.
Wow, shots are fired. No. They're all incredible. We love them equally. They're our children.
Yes, we love them all. This is inclusive podcast, Brian. We include the Friday the 13th movies are awesome.
This is Pride, okay? This is a safe space.
Yeah. We can't leave Jason on the outside. He's got to be on the inside with us.
I'm not saying I don't appreciate Jason and I enjoy having Jason. I'm just saying if you were going to compare these two side by side,
it's true. One is truly better than the other. I was only Team Nightmare for a million years, but I've come around with the Friday movies. They really offer something unique and specific that I'm grateful for.
Mm-hmm. Brian, you love the Fast and the Furious movies. Those are like my slasher Fast and the Furious movies. They are nonsense garbage movies, but are all A+ in my heart.
They're all there for the popcorn.
Even number 5?
Even number 5. It at least has some funny moments in that movie.
Did you know it's Quentin Tarantino's favorite?
Quentin Tarantino is a madman. I don't know what he's saying.
Yeah.
But there is a reason I have an entire wall that is like a shrine to Freddy Krueger and not Jason Voorhees. And so we are going to be talking about Mr. Krueger today. But before we get into that, I want to talk about Josh's show a little bit because, dude, I love your show.
Wow.
As soon as I came across it, I'm like, all right, this is my like 2 favorite things in movies is movies that were never made and horror movies, obviously. So
wow, I appreciate that. I was just talking to one of my podcaster friends about it, and it's very niche because not only is it a niche genre, but we're talking about movies that never actually got made. So the audience is narrow but passionate.
Yeah. So can we talk about it for a little bit? Where did you come up with the idea for this? Did you just say I love movies that just didn't get made?
Oh, no. There is a vast origin story, so I'm very glad that you asked. Okay, back a million years ago, do you guys know upcominghorrormovies.com? If you don't, you do now. It still exists. And when I was in 8th grade, they've always had a section called, like, Lost Projects. And I was always truly obsessed with just combing through all the horror movies on that page that never got made. And was super obsessed with all of them. A couple would get made, but generally speaking, these were all just lost projects that were dead. And something about that I've always been a little bit obsessed with. And then I've always wanted to do a podcast because I can't stop talking. And this is the one that I thought, well, this will be fun. This will not be a slag to research. And I was right.
Yeah, when you're doing research on like stuff you just absolutely love, and especially with movies that were never made, it seems like there's more information about movies that weren't made than sometimes there is movies that are made,
absolutely.
which is fascinating because my love for it came with a movie you did talk about already. That never happened. Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
That was my first episode. How could it not be? How could it not be my first episode?
Absolutely. And having read the 2 comic book series after, it's like, why was this not made? What were they thinking?
Well, I mean, also, like, how could it have ever been made? It's just too beautiful to exist on our plane, I think. But
and too many studios asking for the money.
Oh, and that was part of it. We hear interviews, and there was like, there were too many cooks in the kitchen for that one. Mm-hmm. And also, the first Freddy versus Jason has such an important development hell origins. If you were a horror fan back in the day, like, you were waiting for that movie for 15, 20 years before it happened. But then it did, and it was just the most beautiful thing that could have happened in 2003.
And he had to sit through a shitty Jason movie to get one little glimpse of the tease that would happen 10 years later, and Jason Goes to Hell.
So worth it for that 5 seconds, though. Like, that entire movie, it has a purpose, and I'm so glad it exists.
Yeah.
But it's so boring. We're talking about Jason Goes to Hell.
It's not good.
Why is Jason not in it? That's just what... Yeah. No, not good. Jason X, though, very glad that exists.
Oh, yes. 10 out of 10. That movie rules.
I want to do an episode on Jason X2.
Just don't ever do an episode on Jason XXX.
No. It's like
that'll be a whole different subgenre.
Yeah, Patreon only or OnlyFans. I actually started development hell OnlyFans.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's amazing. I love the show. Go check it out. Where can they? It's available on like any place.
Anywhere you get your podcasts. We are on the Dread Central Podcast Network, and they are really cool. And there's a bunch of other super cool horror shows on the network. Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah, so definitely go check it out, Development Hell. But let's jump into this week's box office. There is a lot of horror talk in this week's box office, which is very cool. Brian, we didn't touch on this last week. We had to record a little early, which was all right because the box office this week looks like it's back in at least to a bit of normalcy because
this almost looks like a normal box office.
Almost. Our top 4 is within $1.5 million away from each other from number 1 to number 4. But number 1 is A Quiet Place Part 2. Wow. $11.65 million, just etching out In the Heights, which just came in at $11.41 million at number 2. Definitely a race here towards the end here on Sunday, but John Krasinski eking it out here at number 1 for the, I believe, third weekend in a row for this movie.
Yep.
I'm still mad at him. I'm still mad when I read an interview. I'm furious. I'm furious with John because I remember he called the first one like he was hesitant to call it a horror movie, and someone does that, I bristle, and so I'm still mad. And so, John, if you're listening, reach out, please.
Let me tell you, John listens every single week. I call Jim Halpert out every single week, and he does not like it, but he hate tunes in. But I haven't had a chance to watch this yet. I've heard it's fantastic.
It is great.
I need to get out to the theater and watch it yet. But
I'd like to point out the fact that the horror guy has not seen the horror movie, and the non-horror guy has seen the movie.
Wow, both horror guys have not seen. Wow, see, because it's not a horror movie; it's a thriller, right?
Yeah. It honestly is. That's the one thing I do like about A Quiet Place is the fact that it's got the horror elements in terms of the monsters and everything like that, but it's really not about the monsters; it's about the people within that universe and whatnot. So that's why I'm actually looking forward to see what we get with A Quiet Place Part 3. Even though we don't have John on board to do the third one and whatnot. But still, I like the fact that it's more about the people. So I get where he says that it's not a horror movie. Mm-hmm. It just takes a place relatively in a horror-esque type of environment. So
he should just fully embrace that he made an absolute incredible horror movie and a sequel that is widely received, and just go full Alfred Hitchcock like Jordan Peele has and just embrace it.
Yes. I agree.
Number 2, though, In the Heights, made its debut on HBO Max and in theaters, $11.41 million, as we said. We'll probably check this out here on HBO Max. Heard pretty good things about this movie, too.
I would say this is the question, we're literally talking about within, a couple points here between first place and second place, is that if Warner Brothers had not done this with the dual release and whatnot, would have In the Heights taken, number 1.
Yes.
I honestly, I would agree that it would have, because I've already seen it, and this is something I would like. Yes, actually, I really enjoyed it. I mean, you can definitely, it's one of those things, especially with like the sake of Hamilton and Lin-Manuel, it is extremely like you watch this movie, it's Lin, you know that it's him.
Yes.
It's the Hamilton guy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Hamilton guy. But it's the same kind of thing though. Like you watch certain movies, like you say, like a Hitchcock movie or whatever the case is, like certain people who make certain movies or different products, whatever the case is, musicals, whatnot, that it's his. So you'll watch In the Heights and know that it's his kind of thing or whatnot.
He didn't direct it though. It was John M. Chu, correct?
Yeah,
which
right.
I love the trajectory of that guy's career. Like
me too. I feel did he direct the Community episodes about paintball? This is my question. Maybe not.
No, that was the brothers, the Russo brothers did those.
Oh, cool! Another weird trajectory.
We're talking about a guy who does a movie like G.I. Joe, and Gem and the Holograms.
Oh no!
But then does Crazy Rich Asians, and then this.
Yeah,
I see. But I'm also mad at Lynn because he is on record saying that this is not a horror movie, and. We have to stand up for the genre.
So let's stand up for it right here at number 3, because obviously this is a horror movie. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway.
I'm shaking.
I am terrified. I didn't know this existed. Apparently it did, and it came out and took in over $10 million this weekend. I think opening weekend, I would assume. I barely remember that they made a first one.
Me neither. Not at all.
This is opening weekend for Peter Rabbit 2.
They should have called it.
No, I have not seen this one.
Well, it sounded like a dad. Who knew? That's what it sounded like.
They're like, Dad, can we watch Peter Rabbit 2? Please, Dad. Peter Rabbit 2 Electric Boogaloo is what they should have called it. But this movie just sneaking in here, just coming in at number 3.
It's not Paddington, okay? So
right. This is one of those ones we're not the demographic. I knew about this movie coming well in before this. I knew that this had been made, and this was one of those ones that got pushed back a couple of times and whatnot. But we're definitely not the demographic for this here. But I could certainly see, especially now that we're losing, like Ray and the Last Dragon's not, is basically on its way out the theater and whatnot. Cruella is probably one that's more of a tween-ish type of film and whatnot. So I mean, in terms of taking your kids to the movies, this is what you have. So I could certainly see and understand why this is where it's at.
My condolences to parents everywhere.
They should have taken them to this movie instead. The Conjuring. The devil made me do it.
Agreed.
They could have just told their kids the devil made them do it. A little over $10 million here. Yep. Still streaming on HBO Max. I'm assuming all 3 of us had a chance to watch this. No? Josh, you're okay holding off for a little while.
Oh, really? I heard somebody heard. That's sad. No, I'm sad.
That's
too bad. That's too bad.
I'll spin it this way, and because I know that Casey's watched all of this universe, I've only seen the 3 Conjuring movies. I literally watched the first 2 up to this one here. I don't necessarily give it as bad, probably as bad as he does, but it's okay.
Well, he's seen The Nun, so he's got something to stack it up against.
Yeah. This is also a movie John Krasinski says is not a horror movie because it is not. Right. He is right. It's not very scary.
Of My Favorite Murder, right? This is what it looks like.
It is not very scary at all.
No.
At least it doesn't have a clown-looking crooked man in it.
I wish it had a frickin' crooked man. This movie had jack shit.
Man. Did you just hate on the Crooked Man? Where's the Crooked Man spinoff? Okay, so much more interesting than The Nun.
Isn't that one in development hell too?
Yeah, I feel like well, absolutely yes, and I don't see it happening. This is my professional feedback.
So you have a future podcast episode on all the Conjuring spinoffs that never were.
Yeah, I actually have a development hell universe based on the extended universe of this universe.
It's going to include the haunted wedding dress from Annabelle Comes Home.
Hold on a second. Annabelle Comes Home, incredible. And I'm sorry if you hate it. And I'm sorry, because the first Annabelle, obviously not incredible. No. But people need to know that Annabelle 3 is a good time.
It's the second best Conjuring movie, in my opinion. I think the first is by far the best, and Comes Home is like, this movie's a effing banger. I love it.
It's good. Although I was a big fan of Annabelle Creation, and then I found out recently that Gary Doberman is like a bit of a heavy-duty Christian, and now the title alone is making me feel a little bit woozy. Right? It's like a Christian horror movie now with the word creation in the title.
Well, didn't like the school teacher get like crucified and get her body cut in half in that movie?
That doesn't sound like a nice Christian moment.
It doesn't. But sometimes they are not nice. But
That's true. I don't know. I'm Jewish. I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Number 5, though, a wholesome Christian movie from Walt Disney Studios, Cruella, $6.7 million. She is a nice lady too, I have heard.
Well, that dropped fast, I feel like.
Yeah. Is this at the $30 Disney Plus thing?
Yes.
Correct? Yeah.
Yeah. It's still at the premium access.
Have you ever paid premium access for anything? No,
we have
right?
not.
That's insane to me. You know what? I did.
We don't have enough of the demographic to justify it in our houses.
Me and my mom did pay for Wonder Woman 2, obviously. Now that was just... Can I be negative here? Because that was trash. Obviously, everyone knows that. This is not news, but... Wow.
And you paid for it.
I mean, my mom paid for it. Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. You say that, and the first thing I thought was, thank God I had HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
See, in Canada, we don't have HBO Max. How sad is that?
Oh, I'm
we have
sorry.
something called Crave, and we get like a bunch of HBO on it, but it's not the same thing.
No, it's like the Walmart brand of HBO Max. Then.
Yeah, well, that's Canada. It's like the Walmart brand of America.
Just a lot nicer.
Yeah, better healthcare, less COVID, maybe, but maybe not anymore. Who knows?
Cruella, though, I don't have any interest in watching this. Brian, I don't know if you have seen this yet either.
I have not. My thought is that if I'm just going to go, because number one, I'm not going to spend $30 before it on home. If I'm going to watch it before it goes free on Disney Plus, I'm going to go to like one of the Tuesday cheap days at our local theater or whatnot, because that'll cost me $5.50. Like I could be more or less to justify $5 than anything else.
I heard if you donate the skin of a Dalmatian, you get a free ticket to this movie. So,
and another reason I'm mad, I hear that she's not interested in skinning animals in this movie. So why make this? That's the stakes.
Because that's when Cruella 2 comes out.
Okay, yeah. Cruella 2, it's sort of like the Texas Chainsaw 2 of the Cruella universe.
I'm just waiting for Cruella the Next Generation.
Wow, with Renee Zellweger.
I hope McConaughey shows up in that one too.
Right,
as the puppy. Yeah. Right.
McConaughey looking a little bit like Justin Long in Tusk.
Oh no!
I would watch that. John Krasinski would say that's a horror movie at that point.
Poor Long. He's one of my, or at least used to be one of my Hollywood crushes. And then that movie came out, and it made it more complicated.
Was it him turning into a walrus, or was it the mustache?
I think I have to say walrus, but yeah, mustaches will ruin it for me. I have to say that as well.
But the walrus really pushed it over the edge.
It's a combination, and also walruses kind of symbolically come with mustaches, if you know what I mean. So it's like so weird.
If that's the case, don't watch Tusk, and then just watch him in Zack and Mary, and get that all back.
Okay, I'm gonna do that
because in Zack and Mary, he's lovers to Brandon Routh.
I was like, what is Zack and Mary? Did you see like the 30-second pause where I was like, what is that?
Yeah, Kevin Smith's Zack and Mary make a porno.
Oh, good movie. One of the best poop scenes in a movie.
Kevin Smith is good at those.
He likes his poop jokes.
Poop jokes are good.
The dude literally put a poop demon, a shit demon in Dogma, so you're not wrong.
Oh, classic.
That's it for the box office. Let's move on away from poop jokes. They'll probably come up a little later. We are going to talk about Toxic Avenger, but before we get into that, Brian, what do we got for some other news articles for this week?
Well, we got a little bit of the Keanuverse going on this week, it seems like here. The first thing is it sounds like Miss Christina Ricci of Miss Wednesday Addams fame is slated to join the cast of The Matrix 4. So I like Christina Ricci. Put her in anything. I'm usually pretty gun ho for it. Probably one of my best performances I love out of her is actually with her and Charlize Theron in Monster.
Oh, so good. It's too bad about Charlize Theron being so incredible in that, because we just forgot about Christina Ricci altogether.
I didn't. I'm just saying.
No, that's true. You brought it up.
But you are correct, though. I mean, that is a very hard performance to be able to try to compete with in terms of like the supporting side of things. But still, she definitely holds her own in that film, and I definitely think that she is a force to be added to something like The Matrix, because it's already a stacked cast on returning and new faces to the franchise. That I think that she'll be a good addition to this film.
I feel like we've kind of done her dirty. I feel like she never got to the place of, A-list celebrity that she deserved. I feel like she still has to audition, and I want better for Christina Ricci. She's in my favorite movie of all time, Sleepy Hollow. Love that movie.
I think that you kind of nailed where I'm thinking. You're like, she never quite got where we believe that she should be. And I think, honestly, I do think the Wednesday Addams, though it propelled her into the face of what she is now, I think it has also hindered her. And then also with Sleepy Hollow kind of sort of pigeonholed her into that whole, like, I need to be the gothy type of character, where it was hard for her to be able to branch out of that.
I agree.
Into much more.
And those characters had very little to do, right? They just stood there. They were wispy. They had big eyes, but they didn't have a lot going on. And I think that, that doesn't help.
Well, I mean, she's going to fit perfectly into the Matrix universe. She has pale skin and can look great in black leather. So there we go.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with everything both of you said. I love Christina Ricci, and I think a great comeback now in her she's probably in her 40s now. Like, she can obviously still go in these movies. Let her be the A-list star that she should have been almost 20 years ago. Like, she's just incredible. Like, honestly, her performance as Wednesday Addams is maybe the best child performance ever.
Why is she not going to be in the Netflix series? Not as Wednesday. Oh, is she going to be?
I think she might be.
As the mom?
Yeah.
Or like somebody cool? Okay, I'd be into that.
I would like to at least point out the fact that, her being Wednesday Addams was a complete... she didn't originally go audition for that. She went because her brother auditioned for Pugsley and then ended up doing Wednesday anyway and getting the part, and her brother didn't.
Oh, I love when that happens in Hollywood. There's a good one for that for Nightmare on Elm Street 2 that we'll get to later with a celebrity that didn't get cast. But yeah.
Yeah, I love this. I can't wait for Christina Ricci to join this cast, and it makes me more excited to watch The Matrix 4 if I wasn't already excited to watch another Keanu Sant's fourth film that we'll also talk about. Another one that he's doing here.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of, as we continue on the Keanu train, and the wonderful cast that keeps getting added to things and whatnot, is Bill Skarsgård joins the cast of John Wick 4.
Very exciting.
Which
this is cool.
Just for my own aesthetics there, Casey, I had to fix the banner and whatnot, because you have to have the little thing over the A. I enjoy everything that Bill Skarsgård is in. I mean, he definitely brought a new Pennywise to the screen and whatnot. But I mean, even outside of being Pennywise, like, there isn't a performance that he hasn't given that isn't just top notch. Like, I mean, he definitely, I think, for the sake of the Skarsgårds in the wonderful acting world and whatnot, to kind of come out of nowhere and start blowing out not only what his brother is doing, but what his dad is doing and whatnot, I just think is fantastic. And I definitely look forward to this. I want to see him going face to face with Keanu.
Me too. He does a really fine balance between scary and sexy. Always appreciate that. I do. And also they added one of my favorite pop stars to the cast, Rina Samayaya, who's she's super cool, and she does all sorts of like weird underground indie pop music in Britain, and I'm so excited to see her get famous now. So I'm going to be checking this one out.
I'm definitely looking forward to it.
That's what I love about this series, is they are casting people you'd probably not expect to show up in like an underground mob hitman type of movie. You want to expect Halle Berry now in her career to be in this type of movie, or Ruby Rose. Right, Ruby Rose, that's her name.
Yeah.
Who was just this silent assassin in what 2 or 3. Either one. But to see Bill Skarsgård in this, I'm hoping he's like an assassin going after John Wick. Like that seems like the perfect character for him, and maybe the main villain of the movie. That would be pretty cool too.
Bill Skarsgård is the kind of guy that, number one, yes, he's going to be probably one of those assassins going after John Wick and whatnot. But he's like the perfect guy who's going to be able to do everything in the scene and could have zero dialogue and still pull it off. Like he could literally, like, what made me think of that is you're like the silent assassin. I'm like, he could literally do that with no dialogue.
I agree. He kind of reminds me of Robert Englund a little bit, where he's able to really pull off. The whole Pennywise performance really reminded me of the Freddy performance, because you're not really seeing him, but he's still pulling off every beat so well.
Listen, Hollywood, cast Bill Skarsgård in this Nightmare on Elm Street reboot you'll eventually do. Please just do it.
It's not a bad idea, right?
Yeah, that is not a bad idea at all.
Yeah, I would see that.
The part that sucks is that it's not like myself, when they attempted to reboot it the last time and whatnot, it wasn't the person they cast as Freddy that did the bad job. It was everything else around him.
I love to say that. I feel like I say that once a week, that it's not Jackie Earle Haley's fault.
No.
So leave him alone. No, I'm kidding.
No. He was probably the only good thing about that.
I want to know who sat down, watched Little Children, and was like, that's our Freddy. That's him. That's our guy.
All they saw was Rorschach. He doesn't need a face.
That's actually not a bad comparison. Similar qualities to those characters.
All right. So as we stick into moving out of the Keanu sense, we go into the Toxic Avenger. This is all for Casey. Kevin Bacon joins to play the villain of the Toxic Avenger, which I'll take anything Kevin Bacon. Add bacon to everything.
Bacon makes everything taste better.
Bacon makes everything better. And the fact that he's one of the things that I loved about when he joined the X-Men franchise and whatnot is we got Kevin Bacon as a bad guy. I like evil Kevin Bacon, and I want to see more of it. So I'm definitely down to see evil Kevin Bacon take on a Toxic Avenger.
I've never seen evil Kevin Bacon, but I'm excited at the idea of it.
Even evil Kevin Bacon is incredible. He's great at it.
It's one of those things that, like, over the years, obviously you can see that he's aged a bit and whatnot, but he still has that like pretty boy face of everybody remembers from like Footloose and stuff like that, even though he's aged over the last 20, 30 years. But, he still has that, that Kevin Bacon-esque that just draws everybody in, and you're like, wow, what an asshole.
Yeah, it got like that Michael J. Fox quality, but more of a dick. People really want him to be Freddy. Have you heard this? This is like,
yes.
This has been on the internet.
Michael J. Fox or Kevin Bacon?
Well, first of all, both, but no, the internet's here for Kevin Bacon as Freddy because they think he looks so much like him. Like all the burns and scarring, and it just really looks like him.
I could be down for some Kevin Bacon as Freddy Krueger. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I would love to see that. It's like him and like let's just throw Skarsgård and Bacon in a room. Let them try to hit every one-liner from every Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and then let's just cast them from that. But this movie here, I'm like, what the hell is this movie? Because this cast is incredible. I mean, we got Peter Dinklage, who
isn't he the Toxic Avenger?
From what it's sounding like, he's going to be the Toxic Avenger. Which I'm like, yes, please, thank you, Hollywood. Jacob Tremblay, who is like the Hollywood's golden boy of like, he's going to be the next Leonardo DiCaprio when he grows up.
Yeah.
In this movie, and now Kevin Bacon as the villain. I'm like, what is this movie? I'm all for it, but what is it?
You forgot about my husband, Elijah Wood. Isn't he in this too?
Yes.
Yeah.
What is this movie? What is going on?
Incredible. And I hope that, I don't know why I feel this way, but I almost want them to play it serious now.
I would be completely okay with that.
Me too.
Do we, just because you mentioned him and whatnot, do we have any idea where Elijah Wood is in all this here in terms of?
I heard villain.
Because it's one of those ones where everybody's so used to the pretty boy face and whatnot. Is that after like Sin City, like I want to see more evil Elijah Wood.
That was scary.
I was going to say, then watch Maniac. because he is incredible in that.
I know. I still need to. That was one of those ones we talked about it here a couple weeks ago. I'm like, all right, got to put that on the list of eventually try to get watched.
Since I saw Nurse Betty, I cannot watch scalpings in movies, and so I can't watch that movie. Yeah, Nurse Betty's the one movie that really messed me up as a child.
I love that Elijah Wood is just taking all these weird roles. Like, why would he be in a Toxic Avenger movie? And he's like, because I love Toxic Avenger. Why not? It's awesome.
He loves horror. He's
well, I was gonna say because Elijah Wood, and I do like the fact that he's in that place in his world of like, I can live comfortably and do what I want, and if this is what I want to do, I mean, like when he did like Willard and all some of the weird, he's like, I'm not gonna do. Is it Willard? No, what the hell is it?
I mean, he could have been Willard though. That could have really done it.
No, the dog show.
Oh,
the show.
Oh, yeah, that was.
It's called Willard, right? No, what's it called?
Wilfred. No.
Oh, Wilfred.
Yes, Wilfred.
Yeah, that's wrong saying it. So, okay,
but no, it's just the fact that he's like, you know what? I'm the child star that he's got to the point he's comfortable, and he's like, he's taking those chances that other people would be like, oh, no, I can't do that. That'll kill my career. He's like, nah, screw it. I'm going to go have fun.
He's lived his whole life. Now he's doing what he wants. He's producing crazy horror movies like Mandy and Color Out of Space. Mm-hmm. He's living his truth.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I kind of see where, to kind of revert back here is Kevin Bacon's gotten to that point where in his career, he's like, you know what? I'm going to do what I want. If it's a little weird, it's a little off the cuff, Go for it. Kevin Bacon doesn't have to try to play the pretty guy or try to get an Oscar all the time. He's just like, I'm just going to go have fun.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think it's clear we all support Kevin Bacon, and I like that.
Because Kevin, like Casey said, Bacon is good with everything.
Mm-hmm. Bacon cast.
All right. We're going to get into the Sony Blumhouse collaborations. Brian Fuller to direct a Christine remake. Do we update the car? Do we keep the car classic? What do we Blumhouse is kind of hit and miss with some of their properties and whatnot.
So hit and miss. They should make it a Prius and make this an environmental horror moment. I don't know why they keep snatching up all of the most boring Stephen King properties. I'm talking about Firestarter and Christine. Sorry, everybody. But you know what? I'm such a huge Stephen King fan that I'll take anything. But there are such good ones. Like, where's Salem? I guess Salem Slot's also being talked about, but these are not the two that I'm dying to see.
But see, maybe that's one of the reasons why we do it though, too, because there are things about the originals that people like and enjoy, wherever the case is. But we're also talking about a time in which Stephen King didn't have a whole lot of say on the properties that were being made of his and whatnot. And we have gotten, like say It, when Stephen King's It came out and whatnot, is we're in a different place with Stephen King and being able to have a say in what are being made of his things. And maybe like you said, Firestarters for me is okay. We do have young Drew Barrymore, whatever the case is. Maybe we do finally get that Firestarter that we deserved.
Firestarter 2 rekindled. That's the one.
Maybe we'll get a Christine that is it'll still be like a period piece. Maybe it'll still be set when it needs to be set, whatever the case is. And maybe we're gonna get the movie we deserve now that we've kind of have the technology and everything like that to back up the vision of what we need to try to make out of it.
I agree, and we've never done the car horror successfully, but it works on the page. Like, it works with the stories. So maybe Brian can do it because he's another interesting choice.
This is not the killer car Stephen King movie I would try to reboot. I would love to see a Maximum Overdrive movie. Hollywood, if you're listening, please remake Maximum Overdrive.
No, I want a sequel. And
or
bring
a sequel.
Back King and give him cocaine. No, don't do that. Don't do that.
Give him a little cocaine.
At any point, whether it's a remake or a sequel or a reboot or everything, all I know is Emilio needs to be in it somehow.
Hottie.
And
Yeardley Smith, Lisa Simpson, who was in the original.
Oh my God, right? No, and at some point here, you got to stuff Stephen King in there, but make him look like he's coked out from the 80s.
He does kind of still look at
a little bit.
Yeah.
The trailer for Maximum Overdrive is one of the most insane things you will ever see. If you have not seen it, go watch it. Stephen King is just completely coked out of his mind. Like he should be in a Coca-Cola commercial for how much coke he's on in that.
I was trying to explain that to a couple buddies of mine here a couple days ago and whatnot, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, just hit play on the trailer, since half that trailer is literally just him talking to the camera.
Yeah.
Like you just look at him and go, "Dude, you need to lay off the coke."
He really did. If you've read the Tommyknockers, you also realize this by now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one we have never really seen on the big screen properly.
Yeah.
It's never been on the big screen. It's only been on the little screen.
And it was bad. Really bad.
It was not good.
I don't love Christine like a lot of people do. I enjoy it. The soundtrack, I think, is the best part of the movie. Thanks in part to Mr. John Carpenter. But I don't. It's not my favorite King or favorite Carpenter. I wouldn't even put it in top 5 for either gentleman. But I don't know how I feel about Brian Fuller. He doesn't excite me doing this either. If it was someone like, they're like, well, James Wan is doing Christine. I'm like,
cool.
All right. Yeah, sure.
Think about that opening title sequence. It would be good.
Yeah.
Right.
Or Jordan Peele is doing Christine. I'm like, oh, what? Jordan Peele is doing Christine. All right, let's do it. But Brian Fuller. Shit, if Danny McBride was doing Christine, I'd be more excited than Brian Fuller.
Oh, I want to get controversial. No. I disagree. I'm sorry. No more Danny McBride in my genre movies. Anyways.
What about Halloween?
Yeah, exactly. No. Sorry. I'm not gonna be cryptic. I'm just gonna say what I think. And I didn't like Halloween 2018. I was sad with it, and I feel like the tone was to blame, and I blame Mr. McBride. That's who I blame.
I think he would fit in a much better franchise that we talked about at the top of the show, Friday the 13th.
Oh my God,
just give Danny McBride that. I know he's more of a. I think he is more of a Friday the 13th fan than he is Halloween. So just give him that one.
And those can be silly and funny, and it makes sense. Yeah,
that would make a whole lot of sense.
Put Seth Rogen in one of those.
That'd be
incredible.
incredible.
Seth Rogen as Jason Voorhees.
No, he can be like the stoner camp counselor who gives weed to all the
that
kids.
Has to be it. No, yeah. Before the kids get there, and they're all so high. And I know we can't talk about James Franco, but it would be funny with him there too. I can see it.
He can be the cold open kill.
Yeah. Do you know who Betsy Sidaro? Because I'd like to see her in that. She's just like a funny comedian. But yeah.
All right, this is where the controversy happens, Brian. With this next piece of news, I'm very interested to hear what you guys think of this here.
I still stand by my stance of what this is potentially going to be. Rob Zombie is going to do the new Munsters. And I still stand until we actually start getting shown more and more about this project and whatnot. Is the fact that I still think with the success of the animated Addams Family and the way the logo is when he announced that he's doing the Munsters on Instagram, this looks like it's going to be an animated film. I really do truly believe this is going to be an animated film because that logo of his was just straight up like computer generated,
He's done animated before too.
Correct. And yes, he's done animated before.
Successfully.
And he's really good at it.
Yeah.
El Super Beasto is
one of the best things he's done.
Easily one of the best things he's done.
Yeah.
So until they show me a live action shot, I'm going to believe this is an animated feature.
Oh, I like that, but I'd prefer it to be in the vein of House of a Thousand Corpses, just like crazy, disgusting, and like fun. That's what I got from the logo. Was very House of a Thousand Corpses vibes.
No.
Yes.
I don't know which way he's going with this because I can legit see it both ways. Like Brian said, an animated movie, maybe more in tone with the Munsters television show, or I can see he's like, whatever, we're doing the Hellbilly Munsters. Fine, my wife's going to be in it, and Elvira's in it, and we're just going to go crazy with this movie. I'd watch that too. I'd watch both of these.
It's going to be a stone cold serious origin story, just like the Halloween remake, and we're not going to like it.
It's that thing is that when Addams Family came out, and because even I remember when that came out, and at least me, I was like, why are we doing this? And then the studio says, look how much money we made off the kids.
So much money.
No, this is the first property that would have been around that same time period in terms of old TV shows and whatnot. I was like, it's going to happen.
I got a question then, Brian. You're saying you're thinking it's an animated movie, okay?
Yes.
Is it in like, is it in tone with the Addams Family animated movie? Is that what you're thinking? There's
Yes.
not a chance in hell Rob Zombie can do that.
No. Why would they hire him for that? Well,
Yeah.
for stunt
Yeah.
hire, maybe.
Well, I don't think he can pull that off.
I don't necessarily mean as in like the comedic tone of it, but more. Well, there'll probably be some of that because it is the Munsters, you know. But would it be as maybe as lighthearted as the Elm Street? Probably not. It's definitely gonna be darker because it's zombie attached to it.
But you're saying children friendly.
Yes.
Wow. What a world.
I think this could literally be the thing that the zombies like, you know what? I need to make something that's not always rated R. Like this will be like a PG-13 animated feature that kids could go see in the theater.
Like 31. Oh, sorry, that wasn't in theaters. I'm sorry, that was rude.
That was the amount of people that actually watched it.
That was good. I like that. I never saw it.
I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, Brian, because his buddy Eli Roth did the same a few years ago with the house with the clock.
The house with the clocks in the walls.
Yeah, that one with Jack Black. So maybe he's taking a page out of his buddy's book, and maybe he's like, maybe I can do this family PG-13 style Munsters. I don't see it. I don't see it happening, but it could. It's a possibility.
All horror fans love kid horror. That's where we all started. You know, we all have a soft spot for it, so you never know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I support Rob Zombie, even though his movies aren't very good. So I support this.
It's one of those things that, you know, love or hate the movies that he has made and whatnot. Again, he's one of those ones that he's making the movies that he is passionate about. He's making this. He's in the genre he's passionate.
Except for Halloween. I'm sorry. I do not think that man was passionate about making Halloween.
No,
he was angry about it. But yeah, I support it, and he's made some honest to God classics.
Mm-hmm.
Last
Lord
question.
Of Salem. I'm kidding.
I was going to say, how do you feel about Lords of Salem?
I never finished it, so I can't answer that. And not because I hated it, but because I was bored. So that's worse. So I don't know. I want to try it again because I like the old lady horror element of it. That was cool.
It's my favorite of Rob Zombie's. I love Lords of Salem. I think it's incredible.
I have to give it a real go before I can say.
It's better than 31.
Well, yeah. Wait, so it's better than House of 1,000 Corpses? It's better than The Devil's Rejects? What are you saying?
I would say it's on par with Devil's Rejects. Those two are easily my favorites out of his series.
I see the tone that you're into. The House of 1,000 Corpses, though, is like, that is the kind of horror movie I'm living for. Just like a carnival of horrors. Although there was a scalping in that too. That was traumatic.
There was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. There's a Rainn Wilson made into a fish.
I did not realize that was Rainn Wilson until like 5 days ago. There was like some picture of him in it, and I was like, "Whoa!" It blew my mind.
But
at least Chris Hardwick dies.
I was say just kill him and Chris Hardwick.
Yeah, but Rainn Wilson, I heard's a good guy, unlike someone else. Anyway,
is Chris Hardwick not a good guy? I don't know who Chris Hardwick is. I'm sorry. Should I?
Chris Hardwick was redeemed and whatnot because they found out that the people or the gal that was his old girlfriend that was giving him shit and whatnot during the whole Me Too movement was basically found out to be a full-fledged liar.
What is he in? What would I know Mr. Chris Hardwick
He did the Talking Dead after show of Walking Dead. Yeah, that's what he hosted.
You're talking to a gay man, okay? That's not inclusive language, but okay.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, he's. I mean, over the course of the years and whatnot, he's been primarily like a host of things more than an actor. I mean, he's dabbled in acting because there's Fat Chris Hardwick in Terminator 3. I want to say. He's in one of the Terminators for literally like a scene kind of thing. But no, I mean, he's more of a host than he is an actor.
Okay.
Did he host a bunch of shit on MTV in like the 90s?
Yeah, he did. He did Singled Out with Jenny McCarthy.
Oh gosh, two problematic faves.
Jenny McCarthy should be in more horror movies.
Yeah.
Die.
Movies. No, I'm kidding. Exactly. Yeah.
Have her come back and die in just as many scenes as she did in Scream 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was a disappointing. I am actually a Scream 3 apologist, but that was not the highlight of that film.
It was no. It's kind of it's kind of the outlier of that series. It's the one that no one cares for if you're a Scream fan, or at least it's the everybody says is the worst one. But
I don't know. I feel like gays like it because it's so campy, and also oh God, what's her name? Parker Posey. That's all you need.
She's incredible in that. She's incredible in everything.
I'd say Parker Posey is just great, period.
Yeah, and you get her for almost the whole movie too, which is a gift.
Even in that shitty Blade movie, she's the best part.
There was the third Blade movie?
Yeah.
I don't remember her in that, but I don't remember it at all. I remember Jessica Biel.
She's the vampire with the puppies.
Yeah.
Okay, good for her. This is the Cruella we need.
Yes.
Oh my God. That would have been amazing.
It would have been good.
If we got Cruella like 10 years ago when she was really like Parker was getting out, that would have been a beautiful synergy right there.
I agree. 100% agree with that. And she's the same age as Emma Stone, basically, so she just could have been in this new one. I just heard Emma Stone was a little old for the role, but
yeah. I don't know how I'm going to transition into today's show, but let's just jump into it. I mean, that's the news. Rob Zombie's doing the Munsters. It's probably better than him doing a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, which is what we are talking about this week, which is a Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge from 1985.
1985.
Good year. I mean, not for gay people, but it was a good year for movies.
It was. I mean, I didn't live it, but I heard it was a good year.
Yeah, I wasn't there either. Almost.
Brian, how was 1985?
Yeah, you have any memories?
I was 7. I mean, you're asking a very loaded question to me when it comes to 1985 because this is the same year as Back to the Future.
Oh, that little movie.
That little movie. So
never heard of her.
That loaded question for me here. The 84 through like 86 was a very good time for some good movies that came out of that time frame because that's when we're talking Ghostbusters and Gremlins and Back to the Future. Like those couple of years are a good solid couple of years when it comes to what we got out of the 80s.
We knew you would know, and you did not disappoint us. Wow, Back to the Future. Where's that franchise?
It's staying exactly where it's going to be because Bob Zemeckis and Bob Gale are both like they're even after we're dead, it's going to be in our basically will and testament that says you will not make this again ever again.
It says the people that produced the third movie, but okay.
I like the third movie.
Oh, you know what? I've never seen it, so I'm just being an asshole. But that's not the one with the Wild West, right? I feel like
yes.
That is so number 2 had no Wild West? I don't know, guys. I'm gay. I don't know about that movie. He should have been hitting on his dad. Then I would have been paying attention. He was hitting on his mom.
Crispin Glover might have been for that, though.
Crispin Glover's a hottie. You know when he was really a hottie? Nightmare on Elm Street. Nope. Friday the 13th 4.
That dance in that movie.
Yes. I don't know.
Speaking of Willard, watch him in Willard.
Willard. He's great in that. Him and Elijah Wood, I think, would hit it off, being two weirdos in Hollywood.
It's truly my type because the other person that is in my list is Daniel Radcliffe, and I feel like those all literally are the same person, all three of them.
They are.
There's another guy that's like, I made my bank, now I'm gonna make whatever the hell I want.
Oh yeah, he makes weird horror movies too.
Because well, or just stuff in general. Like, I'm sorry, whether people love or hate it or whatnot, Guns Akimbo is fun as hell.
I have not seen it.
And him and Samara Weaving are just
she is the moment, right? Like, please put me in.
Give me everything. Give me everything with Samara Weaving.
Oh yeah,
we are the Samara Weaving fan club podcast.
You and my dad and me included. My dad, when my dad saw Mayhem, he called me right away. He was like, "You have to see Mayhem." It is good.
It is.
Yeah, she's incredible. Put her in the new Scream movie.
Yes, please. Yeah, I think that cast is incredible. It just needs a little, maybe cold open with Samara Weaving, and it's going to be a knockout banger.
That would be so good. Mm-hmm. She'd be great Drew Barrymore.
Oh, there you go. Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah, that was good too.
She can be Deputy Dewey's daughter, and she dies in the opening with him. Sorry, I'm fully betting that Deputy Dewey dies in the cold open of the movie.
I'd be
sorry, David Arquette.
I'd be so pissed.
Sorry, David Arquette.
Should we talk about some nightmares?
Should we talk? Yeah, let's talk about nightmares. We go from David Arquette's Hollywood career to A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Revenge.
So it's not much far off.
Not much far off. I love both of them. I love David Arquette's Hollywood career, and I love this movie. Both are very similar in very strange ways. But we're not going to talk about David Arquette today. We're going to talk about Freddy's Revenge, starring Mr. Mark Patton, who is just the best, the coolest, and Robert Englund. He's all right, too. And Meryl Streep is in this movie.
You beat me to it. I was so excited to just talk about Meryl Streep being in this. My idea was to just have the ongoing bit, just like pretend like I really thought it was her. But I guess I can't do that.
She looks remarkably, it's remarkable how much she looks like Meryl Streep.
Do you know how many times I have kept going back to IMDb going, I must have missed her name somewhere?
Did you really think Meryl Streep was in this movie for 3 seconds?
No,
because I would have.
It's one of those ones where, like, you see somebody, you think you recognize the person and whatnot, so you go to the IMDb page to confirm or deny, and you're like, all right, yeah, it's just somebody who really looks like or something like that. No, I must be wrong. And then you see that person again, you're like, I must have missed it the first time. So let's go back to the IMDb page, and then you do it again and again, and you're like, all right, I'm completely wrong. I know this is not the case, but god dang, does she look like her in certain parts of this movie?
Identical. And she still looks like her today. It's wild. And so beautiful too. And also like carries the movie. I'm sorry to Mark. This Lisa girl, she's like the best part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she's great in this. And I mean,
so
she's playing what would be in any other movie, the male love interest of like the Johnny Depp type of character, except in this case, it's probably more of if Johnny Depp was better and more important than Heather Langenkamp in the first movie, honestly. Because I'm with you. I do think she, in terms of acting, she is the best, giving the best performance in this movie.
MVP, other than Freddy, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
And hot take on this movie, as we're getting into it, I think this is the scariest Freddy ever is. Even more so than the first movie.
You mean visually? Like what he looks like?
What he looks like, some of the mannerisms of it. Like, this is pure nightmare fuel, how he is in this movie. Just especially the way he looks. His makeup is...
It's goopy. I give you that.
It is very goopy. It's very...
He definitely has, like, the burned, like, waxy...
Yeah.
Like he's, like... internally, like he's always on fire.
Ooh, absolutely. And I feel like there's that makeup girl with the spray bottle keeping him moist, and it looks real.
Robert is super moist in this movie.
Very moist. It's a moist movie, really.
It is.
Everyone's hot the whole time.
Yeah, Mark Patton is just sweaty this entire this movie.
So sweaty, and it's like I guess they thought it was sexy, but it kind of just makes them like. I'm like, is he sick? Does he have a fever? Is he okay?
He needs more kava.
He just got out of the shower in every scene. We talked about when we did Tombstone, Brian. We talked about how sweaty Val Kilmer is. I want to take a poll with people out there: who is sweatier, Val Kilmer in Tombstone or Mark Patton in this movie? Because that's a tight race right there.
Do you think there's any crossover fans? I'm not sure there are.
Maybe this many.
Yeah, the two of you. Yeah, exactly.
Me and Brian.
yeah.
And I'm gonna go with Mark being more of the sweaty one because his is all like, he's typically indoors or everything like that. At least Val Kilmer would be like, dude, I was outdoors in the countryside in the heat.
And I had cancer or something like that. So
yeah, right.
And so many layers, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It sounds like a Western, right?
It is a Western.
Okay. Yeah. They're so layered. Always.
Let's jump into this movie then. So obviously this is a sequel to the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. Comes out less than a year later, actually. Mm-hmm. Straight up, New Line is like, yeah, we made some big bucks doing that movie. Wes, you want to come back and do this?
He's nope.
Sees the script. Nope. I am out. I'd rather do The Hills Have Eyes 2 than this movie, which he did. But
wow, what a weird choice. Ultimately.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a better movie than this.
No, they're both bad.
Yeah, that is true. I like both, but they're both bad. So instead, Jack Shoulder is brought on as the director of this movie here, and we will talk about Mr. Shoulder quite a bit.
Okay, good. I was ready to jump in, but I'll wait till you allow me.
No, go ahead. Jump in.
Okay, the auteur behind Wishmaster 2, Jack Shoulder. That's all I have to say.
Yes.
Which is another really gay movie. If you did not know, there are some gay prison sequences in Wishmaster 2. So
Which, as somebody who's never seen Wishmaster 2, which one came first?
Oh, definitely Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
All right.
Wishmaster 2 was like the late 90s. But yeah, very weird guy, weird director.
Does he know that one's gay? That movie, or is he like, nope, it's not?
I'm assuming nope, it's not, and I just like I don't buy it. I feel like you gotta know.
Right.
And you've got to be gay. If you made this movie, you're a gay person, and you can know that or not.
And he doesn't. He doesn't know that. I guess
he doesn't. He's the one person that does seem like confused about all of this.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it definitely seems like that because everybody else who has made this movie and in subsequent interviews, and especially in Scream Queen, is like, well, yeah, we knew what we were making back then. It's pretty obvious that's the type of movie we were making.
Mm-hmm. And you have like the production design is like so gay. He has a Kate Bush poster in his room, which I is one of my favorite things about it. And I think there's like a no girls sign too on his door.
There is a no girls sign on his door. I mean, even 15-year-old me watching this movie for the first time, going through the Nightmare on Elm Street series, is like, there's something different about that one.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes.
I will say, as in watching this and then watching the documentary too, is the fact that what's his name is Robert Russler that plays the friend Ron is talking about basically is like, you know what, I knew from the day I read the script.
Yeah.
And like, obviously not having seen the script, but watching the movie, you're like, yeah, like there's choices were made between writing and directing to make this movie.
Yeah, no, everyone is to blame or gets the credit, however you want to look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Performance though, definitely super effeminate and flamboyant. Poor guy. Yeah. I went to theater school. I've done plenty of acting in my time. When you're that gay, you have to play gay. It's very difficult not to. And yeah, I feel for the guy because you couldn't just lean into it. It was the 80s. So
yeah, I would say it was definitely a different time, and I get where they're like, oh no, this isn't, we can't do this, or no, we can't do that, as opposed to just flat out just supporting it. If this was if we would have shifted, almost 30 years or whatnot and made this movie, closer to today and whatnot, you easily could have had him come in full-fledged, completely out, and be completely supported, and it would have made a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it would have been self-aware. And that's the one thing this movie kind of was not.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's one thing, like that's why this movie has kind of received a reappraisal, is that back in 85 when this came out, no one was self-aware, especially Jack Shoulder, about what this movie is.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows it. It's been embraced by Nightmare fans even more, and it's been it's been embraced by everyone who's now seen this movie pretty much.
Yeah, because it's infamous, but like kind of in a loving way.
Yes.
As a growing up a gay horror fan, but like in the 90s before you can really come out, I like really got to watch how the horror community took on this movie. And I remember being like uncomfortable as a kid with like all of the homophobia online or in real life, because that's really all you got when you talked about this movie was like homophobic response. And then slowly but surely over time, you do see how that kind of subverted itself and how people sort of reassessed it and have come at it with a different lens, almost to the point where it's like, it's not that good. Like I almost think we've almost gone too far, and we have to find this middle ground for Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, with that, I think it's a very fun sequel to the original movie, but in terms of the series as a whole, it is definitely still the outlier of this series. Probably even more so than A New Nightmare, which is a straight meta take on the entire series. This movie is still the outlier in that having a meta movie in there as well.
Well, I was to say, at least with New Nightmare, they knew that they were making a movie that was meta. They knew, they went into it that way. Where this one here,
it's the opposite.
It was we're making it this way here when we have the undertone of not realizing what we're doing, or quote unquote not realizing what we're doing.
Yeah, and New Nightmare has always been a bit of a fan favorite in some niche ways because it's so outside of the box. Yeah. And it's so cool, and it's so pre-Scream. And now it's a little cheesy because we're so post things, but it was really quite a moment when it came out.
It was a movie people were not ready for.
No,
and in a lot of ways, this movie is kind of like that too. It's a movie
yeah,
definitely not ready for, especially coming off the first movie, because the first movie was just a knockout classic horror movie. I mean, widely considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, is the movie that made New Line Cinema an actual viable company, and it's the movie that created the moniker "The House That Freddy Built," which is what New Line Cinema is. And then this movie comes out less than a year later. Is a completely tonally different movie than the first movie.
It breaks a lot of the rules.
It breaks all the rules. There's not Freddy's in the dreams. That's the only rule they keep, really, because
not even the entire time.
He's in the pool party.
He's literally like in one dream. Otherwise, pretty much for the most part, he's in the real world.
Oh yeah, like one dream at the beginning where he like gets phallic and like puts his fingers in his mouth. That was weird.
Otherwise, Freddy is in the real world.
So yeah, it breaks all the rules, which I don't mind because it's still fun to see Robert Englund just going to an absolute 11 in this movie. But let's talk about that cold open of this movie. I think is one of the best of this series. I think it's so good. That's such a great dream sequence in this, where Jesse, Mark Patton's character, is riding the bus to school. Has a very strange haircut in that opening, and he's dressing very. I don't know what his style choice was, because he does not look like that in the rest of the movie.
80s closeted things going on kind of thing.
Yeah, it gave me like goth, but make it incel, you know, but like also gay.
Yeah,
it was weird,
and like he hasn't taken a shower in a week either.
Yeah,
that's what it looked like.
Yeah, and he like has not taken off his makeup in also a week.
But he's on the bus, and he ends up with only two girls on the bus, and they're kind of giggling, making fun of him. And of course, Mr. Robert Englund is the bus driver, thus meaning Freddy is the bus driver, and has some great just practical opening effects of this movie, like the bus dangling off the rocks, single rock up there. It's such a great cold open.
So good, and it really like captures what 80s horror does so well, which is like just it's imaginative. It's stupid, but it's so imaginative, and because it's not CGI, it feels real. It's got texture to it in a way you don't see anymore.
Don't we have multiple Nightmare on Elm Street films where there's a bus teetering off a stack of rocks?
It feels familiar. Yes. Maybe the cars in the junkyard. I feel like
maybe that's what I'm thinking of, is the junkyard.
It definitely establishes a certain tone that does kind of continue.
I mean, Freddy still has some one-liners in this movie. They're not as funny as they get towards, Dream Warriors and Dream Master, but he has some in here. He has one of my favorite Freddy lines ever in this movie during the pool party scene, where the kid comes up to him and he's like, "Hey, man, we can help you. Help yourself, fucker," and just throws him over the grill.
I love that
so
part.
Goddamn good.
And that guy he says one scene, that guy that's trying to level with Freddy, and he really gave it his all.
He did.
And also the hot dogs getting set on fire was also so gay and weird. Okay.
Yeah, I love that. That scene is just incredible. When we'll get to that scene, the pool party scene is something else. But so this movie sets up right away. We get our scream queen in this, except this time it's Jesse, Mark Patton, who immediately opens up with the highest pitch scream of this entire series. It's so great. I love it.
Yeah, and then you see his family downstairs, and they're just kind of like, "Yeah, he's gay. It's okay." Yeah. I love his family in it. I usually the families and the parents in these movies are like utter garbage trash people.
Yeah.
But I loved these two people so much. They cared for him, but they're also like kind of sick of his bullshit. I don't know. I liked his parents.
His little sister. I'm scared.
Oh yeah, the little sister should have died, but the parents I liked. When he almost killed the little sister, I was like, yeah, do it. Kill her.
You're like, oh man, he didn't finish the job.
Yeah.
They even have a couple birds. It's a perfect household, really.
The bird yeah. I want to jump ahead, but I won't, because I feel like the bird explosion deserves its own segment.
I mean, we're not far from that bird explosion. I think we should just get into that because it's hard not to bring it up and just not talk about it then.
Yeah, there is a scene in this movie where the pet budgie, there's two pet budgies, they put them to sleep. One of them murders the other one in cold blood, flies around, and then explodes. And
I love the POV aspect of it too, of them flying around, and all you just see is the looking down on the family and whatnot, like, screw you, I'm gonna peck your eyeballs out.
Yeah, and it gets the dad's cheek. Yeah, and yeah, the POV when they're all like looking up at him, and then he just explodes.
It's again, you talk about nonsense in 80s horror movies. That is the most nonsensical scene in this entire movie because it has no bearings on what has happened before or after.
No, and it was supposed to be even crazier. Like he was supposed to be like a monster parakeet, like I'm assuming kind of like a Freddy-esque parakeet or something, and they just like didn't have the time or the money.
They're probably like, oh, we can't do that. Can you imagine if that movie was made nowadays and they'd be like, all right, somebody go grab the drone, and then that would have been even more off the wall kind of.
Yeah.
Let's CG Robert's face onto this bird.
They could have just put the mask on the bird like they did with the dogs.
PETA was on set that day.
Yeah.
They couldn't get the little mask on the little bird's head.
Yeah.
We tried,
they kept dying. Yeah.
We couldn't get the guy from Scrooge to staple the mask to the bird's head.
Yeah, he wasn't there yet.
Oh, wow. So let's talk about his friends in this movie, Jesse's friends in this movie, because that relationship is set up pretty early in this movie, especially obviously him and Meryl Streep, Lisa, and then Ron Grady, who he forms this kind of odd friendship with because
I like how we go from almost kind of like bully and being bullied to, hey, you're not one of my bestest friends.
I remember them being best friends the whole time, and then I watched it this time, and it was like, have you met? No, you've never met before. Okay, interesting.
Yeah, he's like, I pantsed you. Are we cool? Yeah, we're cool.
Yeah, and he's like, do you give it to your girlfriend real hard? And he's like, are you bullying me? And he's like, no, I'm being your friend. And it's actually kind of nice, but really weird.
He's like, no, dude, I'm just trying to shoot the shit.
Yeah, this is how straight guys talk to each other. And then he's like, oh, I see. I didn't know that. It's just fine.
And they get the most awkward push-ups ever in this. They're very weird.
Awkward push-ups. There are some people that is a normal push-up because they're like, I have no upper body strength.
Yeah, I mean, I you can't say this, but I do the lady push-up, and it suits me great. You know the one where you're like, it's like the half push-up.
Yeah.
But they weren't even doing that. They were doing like a weird, like curved butt thing.
This is yoga pre-yoga.
It is. This is when yoga meant like Satan, satanic panic yoga.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, Jesse's parents were like, yeah, he's doing drugs and yoga. There's something demonic about our son.
Yeah.
I do love the parents. Are you on drugs? Do we need to search your room?
What are you taking, and who did you get it from?
Right.
Like,
that's the two questions you have. What's the dad gonna do if he told him, like, if he actually was taking drugs and said, I was getting them from my gym teacher or something like that? What would the dad have done? Taken the broom over to that guy's house, I'm sure.
He would have gone and bought some pot because it was hard to find it.
It was the 80s. The dad would have been like, hey, where's my stash?
Exactly. Yeah. And it would have been like the worst pot ever.
Oh, no. Pot. Again, this is the 80s. It would have been like, where did you get the drugs? Did you find my stash of cocaine in the back room of the house? How many lines did you snort?
Yeah. It's like cocaine's fine, but marijuana will kill you. And it's still that way. And if you're listening at home, do cocaine, but marijuana will kill you.
It will kill you.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And give you breasts if you don't want them.
Is that how that works?
Yeah. And if you do want breasts, it'll take them away.
It's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. It's wild.
It is. Know what else is wild? The gym teacher in this movie. What is up with that guy?
He gets a little weird. They just shoot him up to Mars. That's what it is.
I have so many questions about him. Also, this movie, like, is it gay or is it like fetish? Like, is this a gay bar Or is this just a fetish bar? Is he gay, or is he just like into hurting people? And I don't think it really made the choice.
No,
I don't think. I think that they put enough weird people into that bar to the point where you're like, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
but that straight up that black leather vest that he's wearing and whatnot, you're like, all right, maybe that's why he's been picking on some of the gym students.
Yeah, all like the boys specifically.
Mm-hmm.
And also, so you found your student in a gay bar, and then to punish him, you transported him to a second location, which is the school.
Yeah.
And then made him do laps.
And then told him to take a shower while no one else is there.
And then he took a shower.
Yeah.
Also. Full naked.
But not in the same shower.
Not the same. Well, then it's okay.
So that whole sequence confuses the hell out of me every time I watch this, because it's
I think it confuses a few people.
It probably does, but it's like, are we in a dream? But obviously we're not, because the teacher is there and strung up in the shower dead with claw marks on him.
Yeah, really does die. And then he's running around the gym, and then like you can see the locker room is glowing evil red.
Yeah.
Which I liked, but it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't.
And then the balls.
Yeah.
The balls that attacked him.
But maybe that's a metaphor. I don't know.
I think it has to be. But then what is it? What is that metaphor ultimately, if you're going to unpack that?
That's the whole question of this movie. Is there a metaphor? And if there is, what does it mean?
He likes being shot by balls.
He shot by balls. It's like almost works, but then it doesn't.
Especially when we're talking about the tennis balls, because they're shooting from basically a shaft.
Yeah. But then like that's not what the balls do. No. I mean, I assume.
I think this is where the production designer is like, this is what we're doing in this sequence. And Jack Shoulder's like, well, yes, he's just getting hit with balls because it's crazy. Yeah.
And also we're going to whip him and his tushy's going to be out. And then they're going to fuck. Because I feel like it would have made more sense. Yeah. I also kind of wish the coach had been hotter, because it just made it, I don't know, made it less enjoyable that he was so creepy looking.
I think that's half of the point, though.
Yeah. I think it actually makes it less of a problem. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Because we go from not him being like a good look. I mean, like, say, just like getting back to the news went out, like a Kevin Bacon-esque type of person, to the point where he looks more like, oh yeah, you totally could be the guy that if it was 2021 that we're going to check your hard drive.
The Woodsman. Speaking of Kevin Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if the gym teacher was any hotter, it would have been like, why is Jesse and the gym teacher not?
Yeah, and Jesse's friend is super hot. What was his name? The friend's name?
Ron.
Not Ron. Grady.
Yeah.
No.
I do mix him up a little bit with some other characters in the franchise. Grady. What a smoke show. Truly. I think he's the smoke show of the movie. Meryl Streep also maybe.
Yeah. Also, while we're in this bar scene, we have to talk about Bob Shea appearing in here.
Oh yeah,
as the bartender, because why the hell not have the head of the studio dress up in S&M gear and give an underage person a brewski at the bar?
So funny.
Because why not?
Yeah, apparently he really wanted to play the one of the dads in the movie, but the Jack Shoulder was like, "Well, you can't act, so we'll give you this other role." And then
that requires no words.
Yeah, that required very few. And then he had to go buy his own leather outfit from a place called the Pleasure Chest. And apparently he brought his 2 children with him. And then the clerk made the children stand outside, which ultimately sounds more dangerous to me.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Sex is less dangerous than people abducting your children. It's the 80s.
Again, it's the 80s. They're safer outside.
No, there were Satanists everywhere. Killing and eating kids.
Everywhere.
Literally everywhere.
Yeah, that's what and again, then a few years later, frickin' Wes Craven's like, well, Bob Shea, I'm going to give you like 2 or 3 scenes of talking dialogue that is very important for my movie, A New Nightmare. You don't have to wear any S&M gear, but you got to try acting.
He is not the actor.
Sound like you know what you're doing.
That family, though, does have one of the most iconic genre actors of all time, and that is Miss Lynn Shay.
Mm-hmm.
True icon of fright. She was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street and the 6th. She played the teacher in the first movie.
Yes.
And she's now...
Is she in the 6th one?
She's in another one, and I forget which one, but I think it is 6, because 6 is always the one that everyone's accidentally in again for some reason. Looking at you, Johnny Depp.
Yeah. That's the one with Alice Cooper, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and Roseanne.
And Tom Arnold.
Yeah.
Freddy's dead. That's a weird movie.
Dead. I'm gonna say that's my least favorite. That's truly the one I can't really get through. It's the one that I'm bored by, I guess.
Yeah, and that's definitely one thing about this movie, especially like you talk about some of the, I guess not even dream sequences, just the set pieces of this movie. This movie is never boring.
Never for a second.
No.
It's constant. Like every 10 minutes, there's Jesse waking up in a hot sweat over something he just dreamt about, or you have like flying birds flying, at the family, or by the end of it, you have dogs wearing human masks. You're like, this is the most insane movie I've ever seen, and I'm never bored, and I don't know what it's trying to say or do, but I'm loving every second of it.
Absolutely. Don't forget about the Tushy dance. That was important.
Let's get to the Tushy. Should we get to the Tushy dance?
I'm already there. Yeah.
We're there.
He's like, it's already envisioned in my brain.
Yeah, I've just been waiting for you guys. So I've been here this whole time.
This scene also makes zero sense because he's about to leave to meet with Meryl Streep, and his dad's like, "Well, no, you have to go unpack your bags." Why does his dad give a shit that he's not unpacked his bags?
Well, I'm on the dad's side. The dad has been telling him to unpack his goddamn room this entire movie, and this little shit has yet to do it.
That is true.
Yeah.
So instead of going to hang out with a high school girl, he sends him back to his room to unpack his bags. And he does. And then Streep shows up. Meryl Streep shows up at the house,
which is what she does.
Yeah. Why did she know he was unpacking his clothes?
She said she was gonna come over, but not to unpack specifically.
Yeah, but he was gonna go over there to see her.
Yeah, but she just knew that wasn't gonna happen because he's so gay.
Yeah.
And she wants it too. Let's not forget. She is horny. This movie.
Yep.
By far the horniest character, and good for her. But she's not going to get anything.
I think this dance scene sealed it for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, you see it in her face. She's like, "Hey, baby," and he's like, "Please stop looking at me like that." Yeah,
I think she was a little confused because still by the middle towards the end of it, she's all like, hey, I don't know. I don't know if she got it right away.
Oh no, she still doesn't know. She's confused. I think he's like bringing over Hector and she's like, "Who's this? Your friend?" And my favorite is the mom who brings the girl into his room unannounced and then is like, "Please have sex. I'm gonna leave. Can you please just have sex? I love you. Bye." The mom's desperate for this kid to be straight.
I think both parents are in this movie.
Yeah. The dad seems, I don't know, the dad gives me secretly woke energy.
All right. I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
The actor, I forget his name. Please tell me if you know it offhand. But he's in the Never Sleep Again documentary. And he's just very funny and he just, I don't know, takes it all in such stride that I think he's a cool guy.
Clu Gulager. He has a fantastic name too.
I cannot fathom that. Yeah. That sounds like such a fake name.
Especially for a movie like this.
It's like, did you kill that person? No, it was with Clu Gulager. Like, okay.
Who is he's like one of the morticians or doctors in Return of the Living Dead?
First of all, what a movie.
Yeah.
That's just one of the greatest movies ever.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever talk about that one, bring me back.
Absolutely. Brian, we're going to talk about Return of the Living Dead at some point.
Look how much he doesn't care. No. It's because he doesn't know. I feel like he hasn't seen it.
I don't think Brian has...
I have not seen it.
There's so much boob in it.
I will show you the dancing scene in the graveyard, and you're like, let's watch this movie.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm sorry, just cut this out. There's a scene where they tie up one of the zombies and they're like, "Zombie, what are you doing? Like, why are you killing everyone?" And she's like, "Because it hurts to be a zombie. I have to eat you and it makes the hurt go away." Obsessed with that. Humanizing the zombie.
We can't do that nowadays.
It's so subversive. Ooh, because The Walking Dead alludes to the humans. What? It's crazy. Sorry.
Yeah, Walking Dead sucks. But Return of the Living Dead rules. Brian, we will watch that at some point.
I had to pretend that I'd seen The Walking Dead, the new version. There's like a teen version that came out that has 2 seasons. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like New World or something. Because I have an interview for that. I had to pretend like I'd seen it.
I stopped 7 years ago, and I can't believe it's still going.
On season 15.
Yeah, I'm like 15 years into this shit. Now I'm like, all right, I'm done.
As somebody who hasn't watched it since they quote unquote killed Rick, they're in their last season, at least for the main show.
So the Walking Dead are the living.
Yes.
No, yeah, because they're walking around
and they're
gonna die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Might as well be dead.
Yeah. That show makes me wish I was dead, but Freddy does not, because I mean, okay. People praise the. I'm going to connect everything here. The Walking Dead effects. I'm gonna say those. Those effects are good, but the effects in this movie are just freaking incredible. Especially Freddy's makeup. We touched on it. I want to talk about it more because it's so just goddamn good. Especially one of my favorite sequences is when Jesse wakes up from a night, or he's in a nightmare. And Freddy's like, well, you got the body and I've got the brain, and he peels his head back.
So
it's
good.
It's like, oh my God, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Poor Robert actually had to pull his skin back in that scene.
Worth it. That's what made the 80s so authentic. They were really just chopping people up.
They were. Brian, what's like your special effects marvel of this movie? Do you have one where you're like, holy shit, well, how'd you do that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say about how did you do it, because I mean, in terms of the special effects, I mean, they are relatively easy to understand. But I mean, in terms of how good they look, I definitely do think it's that specific part of the movie where it's very seamless as to reality versus effect. Because I mean, like when the part where he's transforming, and before he kills Ron and whatnot, is it looks good for when the time it was made, but there's a lot of it that's like, okay, that's very fake. Towards the very end, the dogs, like we've mentioned already, the dogs were bad.
the dogs,
but they're so good.
But they could have done it so good. It's just like he didn't have the time or the money, because he could have done it. Those the sketches were probably incredible.
Right. Yeah, the storyboarding was probably good. The effects were like, you got $12 left in your budget. How are we going to do this?
Yeah.
The NECA action figures look better than the actual movie.
Yeah, but those always look good.
They do always look good.
So I do have to say that it would be the pulling of the back and showing the brain kind of thing, because that's the one that it doesn't feel fake, really.
No, he said it. It was real. It happened.
Robert has a huge scar on the right side of his head after that.
Yeah. He's what's it called? The Stanislavski. You gotta just feel it.
Yeah. But I want to jump into the scene that Brian was talking about. So let's jump into the pool scene. We're going to jump ahead a little bit here to the pool scene, because obviously that's probably the biggest set piece of this movie. We're at the pool. Obviously, Meryl Streep's dad is like every high school dad ever. I think he's just great in this. Grilling out for all of Streep's friends at the party. I mean, he's a good dad. Just wants the goddamn noise turned down so he can go to sleep. I respect that.
Go to sleep. Right. I thought he was trying to get it in.
Or he was definitely trying
a little bit of both.
It was both. Yeah.
Sleep.
Half and half.
Yeah. It's like, this is my one night a month, and these goddamn kids are outside making all this fucking
and the
noise.
mom's like, it's fine, get it in. I love those two. Those two were cute. They got it. And that's who Bob Shea wanted to play, was that dad.
Oh, he totally could have played that dad.
Yeah, but I'm glad we had the dad that we had. We got those dad boobs.
Mm-hmm. Definitely had those.
They stole the scene.
At the party, so obviously this is like what Josh was saying earlier. Streep is all over Jesse in this. She just wants him, especially in the whatever cabana that they're hanging out in, where she's the one totally coming on to him in this. She's like, I want to get the hell out of here. Grady's over at his home. I kind of want to go hang out with him, but Streep is all about it in this. And I mean, you can even tell in that scene where Patton is just not into kissing her at all.
No, he's like disturbed by it.
He looks so uncomfortable.
Yeah, he's like he doesn't even want to like experiment, which is a little wild to me because it's Meryl Streep. I probably would have.
And then this giant ass tongue comes out of him. He's like, I need a GTFO. Get out of here.
Yeah, so this like giant like zombie Freddy Krueger tongue comes out of him, which is like it happens in the first movie. So it's like in line with this franchise. But I was like, what does this mean? Because that felt sexual to me. And I was like, does he want to have sex with the girl? And he's like holding back because he thinks he's gonna kill her because he's Freddy. Like I didn't know how to read that scene with the tongue. Do you think that was him being a little bit horny? Do you think Jesse was at all horny for a girl in that segment?
I don't think it was him. I think it was all Freddy.
Oh yeah, Freddy was horny.
Because I mean, that's where they make a comment in this film is where the fact is that we're not in the dream world or whatnot. We're basically this is the equivalent of like a possession movie. It's Freddy has possessed Jesse, so that's the point where Freddy's like, you know what? I haven't gotten any for a while. She's kind of cute.
And Freddy's
that's all Freddy.
Freddy's into that tongue action too. That's a total Freddy move. I mean, it's established in the first movie where he has the tongue coming out of the phone, and then I mean, by the next movie, he's trying to swallow a woman whole.
And one of the tongues that tie him up to the bed too. In number 3, he's into that tongue stuff. Okay, because it's Pride Month, I have to ask, who is the top, Freddy or Jason? I ask this to a lot of people, and it's an important question. And there is a correct answer, by the way.
Freddy.
Yeah, I'm saying Freddy.
You're both correct. You are both correct. And the reason you're correct, and I'm going to explain it, is that whoever you think is the more obvious bottom, you got to switch it. So I do think Freddy seems a little bit more like an obvious bottom situation because, you know,
just because of his size,
because of that, and because of the sassy attitude and all of that. But yeah, you got to switch it around. So you guys got it right. I'm really impressed. Allies.
I was just sitting here just because Jason just seems like he would just be a log, and there would be you put the energetic one on top.
Yeah, the other one is not going to do anything. Yeah, and also like Jason is and you know he's sensitive. He's a sensitive guy, and he always has to be decisive in the world, and always has to be like the masculine figure. And like at home, he just wants to be safe. You know, small spoon.
Yeah, he's got that mommy complex that I think Freddy can kind of provide for him. And I mean, Freddy.
I just know I'm not going to be able to get Jason and Small Spoon out of my head.
He is such a Small Spoon energy, though. In the Freddy versus Jason versus Ash comics, Freddy definitely fucks Pamela, and that's something I've never gotten out of my brain.
I mean, I can see it, and she was into it. She was definitely into it too.
They are the power couple. They are the couple we deserve and we want to see.
Yes, please. So when we get to Grady's room, I want to talk about this because Brian, I know you didn't think the effects held up especially well in that scene, which I do agree with for the most part.
I mean, for what they are at the time they were made, they're great. I'll give them that.
Robert Englund coming out of Mark Patton's body is still just incredible to look at.
The nuance of this is where this movie really comes together. It's like the perfect hybrid of gay and disgusting effects all in one moment.
Right.
So it's kind of the thesis of this movie
it's literally the coming out.
Yeah, or like he's coming out, but there's also like uncomfortable body stuff. It's like it just kind of feels like, you know, someone's first gay sex experience. It certainly looked like mine.
And Jack Shoulder still didn't know what was going on in that scene.
No. Definitely.
Poor guy.
I look at this movie as a finished product, and I want to look at that script and just be like, how did you not see this? He obviously saw it subconsciously because he directed this. You know, and if you're a director who says, "Oh no, that wasn't in the script," I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah, or at least reflect on how secretly gay you are. Like, now that we're all telling you, you know? Yeah, I call bullshit for that too. He knew. And in the Patton documentary, someone calls him out and is like, "No, you knew what you were doing. Don't play dumb." And I do think he's playing dumb a little bit.
Yeah, I think both the writer and director are playing dumb.
Yeah, for sure. Which I think is the right move because they're in tricky territory now. You know, this is they could get in trouble with by saying the wrong thing. I think, considering all the damage they've done.
Yeah, and I mean that's okay. So Grady in that scene it's a terrifying death. I think it is actually one of the scariest of the series because of like him yelling for his dad to come in.
Yeah, it's sad.
And then seeing the claw like come through the door on the other side and the blood coming out, like that's I felt bad for the guy. He didn't deserve that. Also, this is the only death in this movie.
What?
Right?
Besides
the gym teacher, sorry.
What about like take a swim, fucker, or whatever that guy?
Do you think that guy survived? I think he was all right.
Yeah, baby.
The pulsing guy where he gets the claws right in the gut.
Oh yeah, that guy's dead.
Oh yeah, he's definitely.
And the
dead.
hot dogs are dead.
Yeah, those poor hot dogs.
Oh yeah, and the coach.
Also, he does light the pool on fire, and there was people in the pool. So I'm assuming they're dead.
I think the pool is supposed to be boiling too.
Yeah,
which sounds comfy.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a hot tub.
It's a
jacuzzi.
Yeah.
Very big hot tub.
Totally.
Yeah, but I think it's the standout death of this movie is Grady's death.
And don't forget about Mark Patton's career. Yeah.
Oh,
no,
that makes me sad.
Yeah, me too. No, he has a career. It's just not an acting career per se.
Yeah, and it's definitely this movie. It's left his legacy for sure. I mean, the entire documentary Scream Queen is about him and his career, but is literally centered around this one movie, this one performance.
Yeah,
it is one of those things. At least for the fact that he understands where he is, what he has to do, what he is now, and he sticks to his lane to be able, like, you know, he's not pretending this never happened. He's bringing it up, and he became a huge social activist out of the 80s, out of all this and whatnot. Not, I mean, to getting into the documentary and whatnot, but, you know, when you find the documentary about the guy and what has all come of it, you know, to me personally, better than the movie that he was in, you know, I think says a lot though too, because it just says a lot of what he's done with what came of this movie.
So fascinating to think about, because I think for a long time, he was running away from all of this for a long time. He didn't see the value in it, and I can understand why. But I think a lot of these people that, you know, had roles in these iconic cult horror movies had acting careers, but now, like, the only thing people remember or care about are these weird niche sequels that they were in. And I think they're all coming around to realizing that, like, there's some kind of special community value to these movies in a way that you're not going to get from your average prestige, you know, 1993 Oscar winner.
Yeah. And I think it's, for a lot of actors, it is a little bit of what's my legacy after this? What am I leaving behind? I think that's definitely a reason people get into acting. Obviously, you love to do it, but as you get further into your career, it's like, what am I going to be remembered for? And I love that. And I love that horror actors and actresses are embracing that. Like, sure, why not? I will be remembered for appearing in A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Why not? That's what my legacy is.
I wish. My God, I was actually the kid. I was Freddy's kid, that creepy kid.
The kid from Jurassic Park.
Yeah. No. What else was he in? He was in another scary movie too. I can't remember. Was he Gage?
No. Oh God, what was he? Is in something else.
He's in one other big thing, and it's killing me. It's okay. Let's move on.
Yeah, I'll find it out. Brian, since you watched Scream Queen for the first time for this, what was? Did you know anything about Mark Patton before that? Obviously, you knew him from this series and from this.
I knew him from this. I knew a little bit of the backstory of who he was, why he basically fell out of the acting and whatnot. But no, I mean, for the most part, no, pretty much everything for that documentary was all new to me here and whatnot. And like I said, I mean, sometimes I do find fascination in, you know, something like this, that's a documentary about something that I already know, kind of thing and whatnot, is to be able to see, you know, you pull the curtain back a little bit to get not only how we're seeing it today, but how it was back then and whatnot. I truly did find the documentary of this and who he is and what he's become and whatnot, very fascinating, to the point where it's like, if you've enjoyed the first one or enjoyed the franchise in general, like, this is just a good extension of something you should be watching anyway. And even if you don't like the Friday Nightmare on Elm Street movies, this is still a good documentary to watch because of the times that he came out of, the type of person he had to be in the 80s and who he is nowadays. And the support that he does have from the community that he's gotten built around this movie that was relatively, thrown so much shade back when it first came out.
Yeah, definitely. He was thrown to the wolves in the 80s in a really scary way for being gay.
Yeah, it was one of those ones where it's like, oh no. We didn't make a gay movie. We didn't write it that way. We didn't direct it that way. It was all his fault.
Yep. And he's pissed about that. And he's pissed about that in that movie. And I find it really interesting. And the part about the documentary that really sticks with me the most is his journey through HIV and AIDS and losing his partner to AIDS, I think around this time that this movie came out. And then being probably one of the very first wave of people to survive by the AIDS cocktail and the journey that he had to go through, and then becoming a bit of a social activist for HIV and AIDS. And because you can't separate being gay and the AIDS pandemic when you're talking about the 80s, because everyone was affected by it in some way or another, or just flat out died. So that historical aspect was it really made everything, I don't know, it colored everything in a really interesting way for me. Yeah.
And I love his redemption that is kind of shown throughout the movie, because obviously he's been blamed for the failure or people not viewing A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 in the correct light. Like Brian said, people blaming him in the 80s of the reason it's gay is because you have a gay actor in your main role, and that's why no one likes this movie.
Yeah, and not to say that it's not his fault, because he's so gay in it, but I think we've come around to the idea that that's okay and that's cool and that's fun.
Well,
he also knew the movie he was in, whereas your director and writer were like, "Oh, that's not the movie we."
I don't know if I agree. I think they were all a little. I don't know. I think a lot of them were a little lost. Maybe not the writer.
And that's just it. That you have the director basically saying you need to stop being so hateful on something that happened 30 plus years ago. You need to move on, wherever the case is. I do think the director was still kind of shifting it a little bit to say it's not necessarily my fault, even though he's the one that directed the film. I still think he was shifting it a little bit. I do think he made a very valid point in saying, hey, you need to move on. All it's going to do is just eat you up. I do think that when he had that little confrontation or interview, whatever the heck you want to call it, with the writer or whatnot, does it sound like the writer was kind of owning it a little bit? I think he was only kind of owning it because now that we're in a different place, we're in a different environment than we were when this movie was made. He's almost like, I need to embrace it now, because then that way I don't look like the asshole that I did 30 odd years ago.
Yeah.
So I think he's not skirting it as much, just because he's like, I still want to have a career. So I do at least applaud the fact that he was able to get that closure to the point where he could at least self heal himself, whether or not these two that wrote and directed the film are taking the ownership of this. Because like the writer said, I didn't write it on the page that says "scream like a girl."
Yeah.
And that's where he's, but at the same time too, you don't have a director going, "Hey, we need to tone this. We need to change this," whatever the case is, So
they were both right, though. It was Jack's fault ultimately. The director is the quality assurance person. He should have. They had a bad director ultimately, I think. When I've watched Never Sleep Again years ago, I left that assuming the writer was gay, but on my rewatch of Scream Queens, it doesn't seem that way. What was your take on that? Is he's a straight man?
I have closeted, maybe.
The writer is
the writer.
Yeah.
I think so too. Yeah. So that's a little bit problematic. Especially considering the end of the movie, because there's a lot of fun camp gayness throughout. But when you get to the end, like, what is it saying? It's saying that you can be saved from being gay, or that being gay, you can choose not to be gay, and that ultimately that'll serve your life better.
So that's the question I want to ask you guys, because this movie has received a reappraisal. Obviously, especially in the last year with the Scream Queen documentary, people are looking at it in a different light. But ultimately, what does this movie mean? Does it have a meaning? That's the real question, because that's where I'm on. Like right now, I'm like, yes, there is not even undertones. This movie has overtones of.
I was like, there's no subtext. It's just text.
It is pure text to this movie. But what is that text? What is it ultimately trying to say by the end of this movie? Obviously, when Freddy is there in the boiler room at the end of the movie, and Meryl Streep is trying to get Jesse out of him, what does that mean when he finally does? I don't know. What do you guys interpret that as?
You go first, Brian.
I still think just the movie itself overall is just confused. I don't necessarily see as the ending as being the kind of thing of, the girl's going to be able to make you straight kind of thing. I think I still see this as kind of less of a nightmare movie and more of a possession movie, and it's just more of the best friend going, don't let the demon take over kind of thing and whatnot. So, I mean, is that the subtext per se of that it's the girlfriend quote that's trying to make the gay man straight and not let the demon take over? Maybe, but I don't know. I saw it more as a possession, not necessarily as her trying to make him straight in the end.
I think I agree with you in terms of the filmmaker's intentions, because I don't think there were any intentions across the board. But I do think as we've evolved with this film and we have seen the really obvious, subtext sort of come to light over the years, it's impossible for me not to read that ending as a little bit problematic, as an easy conclusion of that you cannot be gay, and that being gay is destructive. I don't think that they intended that, but I do think ultimately that's what it evolved to read as. Yeah.
The next question that I have that I'm still trying to interpret myself, because I can see it that way, obviously, like you guys said, of how problematic it is. But that, I think, goes in terms of how you view Freddy and what he means in this movie. Like, what does Freddy mean in this movie? What is Freddy a metaphor for? I don't think the writers or director knew what Freddy is supposed to mean if they were having any sort of subtext in this.
No, they don't know, but we can decide.
No, Robert Englund knew exactly what he had there. Because, I mean, at the same time, too, and they allude to that in the documentary when there is the Beauty and the Beast scene.
Yep.
Is, when he's talking about trying to be very phallic with the claw and whatnot, and the makeup artist is like, don't let him put that in your mouth. Is Robert Englund knew exactly what movie he was in. And I think that if they would have been more accepting to what this movie was and had a director that knew what he was making, I think would have been a much better movie. And I think we would have got exactly and I think Robert Englund would have been just as good as he always is as Freddy.
Do you guys feel
what he was in?
Do you guys feel that Freddy is more of could be seen as even though he is, in the scene where they're in Grady's room, Freddy is coming out of Jesse at that point. And obviously that can be seen as a coming out style of moment. But in what interpretation could that be? Because what I'm trying to ask is could Freddy be preventing Jesse from actually coming out? Could he be the reason why Jesse is holding back so much? Because obviously we talked about Freddy is the one that is horny as hell for Meryl Streep in this movie. Right. And he's the one trying to come out to put his tongue in her. But when he comes out to, when Freddy comes out to Grady, he's like, nah, I'm just going to murder this kid.
I think it's the inversion of coming out. I think that Freddy coming out of him is the metaphor of coming out as gay, but the way that this movie frames it is that if you work really hard and you have good morals, you don't need to come out. You can shove it back down and you can overcome that. Yeah. And I think that was sort of my takeaway from that.
I'd say I agree there. I would certainly say, for the sake of Freddy as in the character, between what we got out of the first nightmare, this nightmare, is the fact that in terms of Freddy's sexuality, Freddy is just he's like, I will take on whoever I want to take on.
Down to clown.
Exactly. That he's very fluid. It don't matter you're gay, straight, boy, girl, whatever the case is. He'd just be like, yep, I can do that too.
I mean, he prefers.
He is. I mean, like Freddy, especially with the glove and the leather and everything like that. Like he's like straight up like, oh yeah, this whole S&M, this all that stuff. I'm down for anything. Let's get a little freaky.
Yeah. Let's. We don't talk about
sorry. That's right. We have to pretend it's he murders kids.
Yes, he did not touch any of them.
No. He only savagely, brutally murdered them, and that's okay.
And that is okay, and we can root for it and have toys of that.
Absolutely.
But if he touched them, I don't have toys. If he did, but he doesn't, obviously. Right. Let's move on past that.
Okay.
You went there. I didn't. I'm just saying.
We didn't go there. The remake went there.
Sorry. Yeah, they did, and it didn't work totally.
It didn't. It's not fun to watch that. I don't
know. That's the part where Jackie Earle Haley was not the problem.
No,
he's not. But a lot of that movie is a problem, and we don't talk about it. We don't want to talk about that movie. We're talking about this one here. I want to get into our kind of our final thoughts, final interpretations of this movie. Obviously, this has been a rewatch for all three of us. A movie kind of, I would say, all three of us have grown up with and have watched probably in different ways every time we watch this movie. Let's get into final thoughts. Brian, what are your final thoughts here watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 here in the year of our Lord 2021?
Well, I mean, I would certainly say this is the kind of movie where, it's definitely one that needs to be watched. Is there definitely aspects of it, especially as the franchise on a whole, that there's a lot of problems with this movie? Absolutely. But in terms of the movie in general, it's a good watch. I mean, I would certainly recommend. I mean, if you're gonna keep, if there's other movies that are not as good and whatnot for the cases, if you're gonna sit through those, you gotta sit through this one too. So, and that's saying something for a guy who's owned the DVDs for as long as he has and still hasn't watched all the movies.
Oh, Brian.
Shame,
Brian, you're killing me.
I literally have that DVD box set that's got the mural of Christopher England or Robert England. Yeah, I've got that thing and I still have it. And I won't get rid of it. And I sit there going, I should probably get through those eventually.
Yeah, it's like his back and like all the DVDs kind of like, yeah, that's classic. I want that. I bet you that's worth some real money right now.
I don't know. All I remember is Suncoast Video in the mall. I paid for it on sale for that for $100.
Not bad. I bet you it's worth at least double that. No, that's my guess. I agree with the tone of your opinion of this film. Can I jump in with mine? Am I allowed? I oscillate with this movie. I go from hating it to loving it to hating it to loving it every time I watch it. And this time I landed in the middle. This time I appreciated the gay subtext. I appreciated the camp. Love Meryl Streep. But at the end of the day, no, it's one of the weaker Freddy movies. But it's still a Freddy movie, and I'm still grateful that it exists. And it's definitely not the worst one, because that has to go to Freddy's Dead. I'm sorry, Rachel Taylor.
Is this the part where it's like, as bad as campy as what this is, there's still quite a few Friday the 13th that I would still put way below this one.
Would you say quite a few?
I have, and Casey knows this and whatnot. It is not last year, but the year before for Halloween, I decided just to go through the entire Friday the 13th franchise. And I realized how much I don't like Jason Voorhees as a overall villain. If you're comparing him to other like monsters, like Freddy Krueger's, Michael Myers, stuff like that, like I'm just like he's.
Have you played the video game?
Yes, as broken as it is, I have. Like, I got more enjoyment out of that broken video game than
Yeah.
I did most of the movies.
I feel like that video game really brought me back to my love of the films. So I was hoping that maybe it could do the same for you, but clearly you've made up your mind, and I'm not gonna waste time.
I watched all those after playing the game.
Oh God, so there's no hope for you at all. The mistake was watching them all in in a row. That was you needed to spread that out over like at least 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will keep fighting the good fight for Jason Voorhees on this show. Don't worry.
Thank you.
Yes, because Brian, eventually you will come around to at least liking 2 of them. Hopefully that I don't know yet. 4 and 6 are my favorites. So
6 is the best one. You got to watch 6.
I will still hands down watch anything. I will watch Freddy versus Jason and Jason X anytime. So
you say that like that's like those are 2 incredible movies. Those are 2 Oscar-worthy, beautiful films.
Oh, and those are the 2 that I would watch over and over again. Whereas like the Paramount session, I could probably leave behind and be okay with.
You need 3. You need 6. I apologize for 7. And 8. Sorry. You know what? All of them. Fuck it. Sorry.
I am unabashedly do not like Jason Takes a Boat to Manhattan. But 7, Jason versus Carrie.
You mean Vancouver? Sorry,
is my jam.
Yeah, and how hot was Carrie?
Oh, she's so good.
I feel like she's the hottie of the entire franchise.
Her and Amy Steele in
From
part 2.
Oh yeah, Ginny.
Yes.
Underappreciated final girl.
Yeah.
That brassy blonde is so cute. I like it.
Yeah, she outsmarts him and uses her brain over anything else, and I love that.
And she pees herself. It's very shocking.
She does. But this movie here, I still dig this movie. I don't think in terms of watching the series, I kind of like to watch this series almost once a year. I just love the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and this one seems to kind of get better every time I watch it. I think maybe more the movie not necessarily getting better, but more of an appreciation for it, because I do find the practical effects are just incredible in this movie. I think it is a ton of campy fun, campy goodness in this movie. Again, it is problematic, but it also has a ton of fun with this entire movie and premise of it. I don't think it's one of the great Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I would put it right in the middle of the road, probably alongside with like Dream Master is probably right around where I would put this one, kind of in the middle of the road. But it's not, it's not the first movie. It's not Dream Warriors. It's not New Nightmare. It falls somewhere just below those. So, but yeah, I still love this movie. And if you have not watched it, obviously you don't even need to watch the first one really to get into this one. You can kind of just jump into this one as your first Nightmare on Elm Street movie.
I'm going to say watch the first movie, guys.
I would definitely say
do it.
No, so, but you watch the second one. So because they talk about the crazy girl in the house and whatnot.
Yeah, they do. They read her diary stupidly.
And then you go to watch the first one after the fact so you can see what they were talking about. That way you end on a high note.
Yeah, it's true. It's like watching the documentary about something before watching that something. It always makes it more interesting. I watched the Best Worst Movie documentary before I watched Troll 2, Blew My Life Away. Yeah.
It makes it better.
So much better.
Yeah. We'll have to do a Troll 2 episode and bring Josh back for that too. I'm just planning so many episodes down the road, and
I'm an expert. Please bring me.
Oh, thank God. I love Troll 2.
Yeah. Not as good as Troll 1. No, I'm kidding. Starring Elaine Bennis. A little bit of, I'm sorry, just cut this out. But Troll 1, the 2 main characters, father and son, their names are Harry Potter Jr. and Harry Potter Sr. Yeah. My favorite.
I can safely say I've never seen the first Troll. I just jumped into the sequel. I'm like, I'm going for it. I'm going for the sequel.
I mean, obviously they have nothing in common, and we'll leave that for Trollcast.
Yes. Is that an actual thing, or is that something that's going to happen?
I mean, we can make it happen.
Let's do it.
We have to be proactive.
Let's do it. Yeah, obviously, go check this out. I watched it on HBO Max. I own this movie in like 3 different forms, but I was lazy and just put it on HBO Max.
Rub it in.
Because we have it in the US of A and they do not in Canada.
I would give up healthcare for HBO Max.
I was going to say, I would give up HBO Max for free healthcare.
You don't know what you're doing. You don't know. You don't know. It's okay.
All
He's
right.
like, I just need an American account and a VPN.
Yeah. I wonder if that would work. Sometimes VPN works for these things, and sometimes I find it doesn't.
It should work.
It should. Okay.
It should. Don't tell the prime minister or anything. But
Oh my god, he's right here, and he's. It's okay. It's fine.
Oh god, you almost made me do a spit take.
That would have been cool.
Let's kind of wrap this thing up here. We'll get into some of the plugs and things that are going on coming up soon on our show here. Next week we're going to be talking about Call Me by Your Name as we continue Pride Month.
I was like, yeah, that's right. It's Pride Month.
From 20. That's why we're talking about this movie, I think.
I thought you had a cannibal theme.
Oh, I wish someday we'll do that, and Brian will be appalled and quit the show.
He doesn't like cannibals.
I think if I showed him Cannibal Holocaust or Ferox, he would just like, I'm not friends with you anymore. We're done with the show. I'm off.
Wow, what is he like, an animal rights lobbyist or something?
Do you like turtles?
I made my way through sleepaway camp, so
it's true.
So you're not a trans activist then. At the end of the day. No, I'm kidding. You are.
I wouldn't be doing these shows.
You wouldn't. No, I know. I'm so impressed with this Pride Month schedule. I all the movies you picked are A+, in my opinion.
Yeah.
No, when we did all this stuff and whatnot, and June came around, we're like, it wasn't even a question. It was how are we going to pull it off?
Yeah, diverse picks, really. Like some campy stuff, some serious stuff. Good choices.
Yeah. And again, I absolutely love Call Me by Your Name. Can't wait to talk about this. There is artwork of the Call Me by Your Name poster with Freddy and Jesse from this movie, and I cannot find it. So if anyone out there listening can find it and send it to me, I need to share it at some point. So
it's gorgeous. I agree. That has to be seen.
Please help me if you out there on the internet if you know where that is. But yeah, that's next week. Call Me by Your Name. Brian, please bring a peach to the show just to be prepared.
Okay.
You guys are doing But I'm a Cheerleader, right?
We did that one. That was our first one we did. Oh,
that is just the best.
It is.
Movie. Yeah, that was good. I gotta go listen to that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was a first time watch for both of us. And
no way, of course.
Yep.
That makes sense. No offense.
Yeah, none taken. But it blew our minds in all the right ways.
Yeah. RuPaul shows up. Why not?
Yeah.
Oh my god, RuPaul's amazing.
So good.
RuPaul's so good.
Yeah, and Clea Duvall is one of my only girl crushes because she's just a hot dude. It's fine. Especially in Veep.
Yeah. Brian, where can they find us on social media?
Oh yeah, that place.
Yeah.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can check us out at Backlot 605. Also on we recently added our Letterboxd HQ, same Backlot 605. Wow. You can also check us out on Facebook on the South Dakota Film Community Group. Join the conversation. We just like to talk about whatever we want to talk about.
Because it's their show and not yours.
It's not. But we would love if you listen to our show.
Yeah. Please do.
Yeah, and we're on Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, Amazon, YouTube. We're on the basic places. You can find us there. Also, if you want to, we are pretty basic.
Straight, right? So
we are. That's how basic we are.
Of it. Yeah.
We're also so basic that we are a podcast that has a Patreon. So if you want to check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/backlot605. We have a couple tiers on there, and we're going to do maybe the gayest movie ever made for our bonus episode, Fast 9. I'm assuming, but maybe not. I don't know yet.
Is that for all the colors of the flag?
Yes, I would. That's what they're doing, right?
I hope there's 9 colors.
Yeah, I'll have to ask Vin what he was thinking with this one. But yeah, that'll be our bonus episode for this month, Fast 9, because...
why not? Because they want to. That's what they said.
Yeah. But let's throw it off to Josh. Where can they find Development Hell once again? And if you want to plug anything you got coming up on the show.
Yeah. So you can find Development Hell anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also find us on social media at Development Hell Pod, or if you're on Twitter, it's Devil Hell Pod. You can find all of our episodes at devilhellpod.com. We're a proud member of the Dread Central Podcast Network. We just acquired the Mick Garris podcast, so I'm famous officially.
You know him, right? You know him.
Oh yeah,
right?
He's my best friend. He's here. He's right here. He's with the
He's
Prime
right next to the
Minister. They're making out. It's Pride Month. They both have great hair. Like, this is hair envy. Yeah, and you can also find me at Josh Korngut anywhere on the internet. But Development Hell should be your priority, I think. Yeah.
Even more than our show, I think people need to check that one out.
I appreciate that. My upcoming episode is about the upcoming horror movie that did get made, Werewolves Within. I am interviewing director Josh Rubin. He's fun, also straight, but we make it work. Yeah,
just like today's show.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah,
that I'm excited, very excited for that. I need to check out his latest, his Shudder movie yet.
Scare Me.
Yes, I need to watch that. I've heard it's incredible.
Very spooky, very funny, like him. Also a cutie.
I still need to see that.
So do I. I definitely need to check it out, and I'm excited for his new movie. Very, very awesome that you got
it's
him on.
Good. It's good. It's a fun like whodunit with an amazing cast.
Loved your interview with Simon Barrett for Seance, because I love Simon Barrett. I haven't watched that yet either, but I'm very excited too.
I haven't either. That was a dream come true, because like, your next was quintessential. The guest. Oh my God, what a icon.
Blair Witch.
I liked it. I saw it at world premiere, and when you go to the film festival, it gives you that high. So I was really into it.
So go check that out. I mean, I can't praise your show enough. It's not just because you're on here. I
love that. That makes me so happy. I was thinking you were the first people to reach out to me to do a Pride episode, so thank you so much. But then it got me thinking, it's like, I don't like advertise that it's like a queer show, so clearly they listened and they were like, oh yeah. This guy's gay. And you were right. Imagine if I was like, what are you talking about? What do you
Why
mean?
do you want me to come to
I will, but like my girlfriend will think it's so weird. But no, she doesn't care.
She'll start asking questions.
Yeah. Meryl Streep.
You haven't asked your infamous question, Casey.
Oh, I should ask this question. Jeez, before we go, if you were going to pair A Nightmare on Elm Street 2 with another movie, what would you pair it with for an ultimate double feature? I guess we'll have to leave it off with that.
Footloose.
All right. Why?
Kevin Bacon.
Okay. He's like, pretty Kevin Bacon. That's
pretty. Yeah. Because they're both gay icon movies, and they both star Freddy Krueger. That's great. I should have thought about that longer, but you know what? I stand by it. Follow your impulse, right?
I like it.
I'm still. I mean, just for the sake that we have the companion piece to go along with it and whatnot, is watching this along with the documentary for Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street and whatnot, because it is a very fascinating behind the scenes look of such, call it a troubled movie, if you will, one that has had a very interesting history. You get to kind of be able to see behind the curtain about, between Mark Patton and just everything about that movie.
Yeah. I'm going to pair it with another slasher movie, and I will say it is another gay slasher movie, Scream, because Billy and Stu are totally
they're banging.
They are totally banging.
They're banging. I feel bad though for Stu because he likes it more, and the other ones are kind of using him.
Yeah.
Oh, Stu would totally be on top.
Yes, because he'd automatically assume that he'd be on the bottom, and then therefore reverse it.
Yep.
Also, Big Spoon because he's so tall.
Definitely. So definitely I don't know where I'm going to go with this, but that's been the show. Let us know your ultimate double feature with A Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Is it Footloose? If it is, I applaud you, as long as it is not the remake.
No, I meant the remake.
Oh no,
because then you're wrong, because then it's John Lithgow.
That's even hotter. Sometimes dead is better, honey. Sorry. I don't know why I did that. Love him though.
Yeah. Josh, thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. Again, go check out Development Hell. Go check it out. It's awesome. We love the show, and we can't wait to have you back. We gotta. I'm not kidding when I say we're doing a Troll 2 episode.
Me neither. You have to bring me in for that. I'll be so mad.
Absolutely.
Bonus episode.
Let's do
and
it.
John Krasinski, because we have to talk about some stuff, me and him. So
Yeah, I'll get him onto that episode too.
good.
I'm sure he loves Troll 2.
If he, I mean, he better. Anyway,
It's not a horror movie, but he
no,
loves it.
it's a thriller. It's a prestige thriller, like A Quiet Place Part 2.
You joke around with this kind of stuff and whatnot, but John Krasinski seems like the kind of person that if you hit at the right time with the right topic or something like that, he'd be like, "I'm in. When do I show up?"
I would box him like that YouTuber and that boxer did recently, and I would win.
Can we book that? I will try to set
Yeah.
that up.
Patreon only though, guys. So
Absolutely. Maybe OnlyFans.
you
too.
got to support that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So,
Yeah, seriously, thank you for having me. This was super fun, and happy Pride to you and everyone else.
absolutely. And we'll leave it with that. So that's no better sign off than that. So for Brian Mensing, I'm Casey Caldone. We'll check you all out next time on the backlot of South Dakota.
Bye.
Bye.